Hello guys, this is Svetlana
and Benny
from Cosplay, and today we're telling you
how we became self-employed artists.
And since it's a little bit creepy
To finish each other's
sandwiches,
I'm just going back to the camera.
yay! Okay, this was weird. So a question we get a lot is actually how we became self-employed artists. This means we're actually making money with cosplay, or better, with our cosplay crafting books. So I thought I'm doing a little video of our story and tell you how everything began. So I actually got into cosplay in 2003 just because I wanted to try out this hobby. I just wanted to see a cool convention, dress up, and my very first costume was actually the Great Saiyaman from Dragon Ball Z, and the costume was awful and made out of super cheap satin, but I just had fun. I actually didn't plan to make an income with my hobby or like become like a professional cosplayer or anything. I just wanted to have fun, and it was fun. When I actually started playing World of Warcraft, I became super obsessed with cosplay and started to create more elaborate costumes from World of Warcraft and like the whole Blizzard universe. And I actually also started sharing my work online. Plenty of people actually asked me how I made my shoulder armor, or how I worked with expanding foam, or how I built my props. And so I actually started making tutorials to answer all the questions I got more effectively. Remember, this was actually a time where people had no Facebook pages or anything, like nobody was chasing likes or anything, and sharing their work was basically more to keep things like separated, because you know, like your friends or like your co-workers are not really interested into your cosplay stuff. So it was much more to, you know, like to separate your work basically. One of the reasons I started my blog, for example, is actually to learn English, because when I left school, my English was super bad and I was even not able to talk with my friends from the States and like all the cosplayers I followed online. So this was really frustrating. So I basically forced myself to create like cosplay tutorials and write about my costume making stories just to get better in English and like, you know, practice a little bit. During all that time, I was actually a student, and my professors actually didn't really show up during my university that much. So I didn't learn a lot, but I actually had a lot of time making all my favorite costumes. Around 2009 or 2010, I started actually my very first website, cosplay.com, with my blog about how I made costumes, my Facebook fan page, and I think I also added Instagram a few years later though. That's like 8 years ago. Wow. So in 2009, I actually also visited my very first convention, international convention, which was BlizzCon in Los Angeles, and I barely understood anybody because my English was still super bad. So yeah, when you actually go on YouTube and scroll down to my very first videos, I'm actually still talking in German, but I think the most of them have actually English subtitles. So the reason why I actually got more and more followers was mainly because I used materials nobody saw before. Simply because my English was so bad that I didn't understood any tutorials, and there were basically also no other tutorials. So I think I was one of the first cosplayers who worked with expanding foam and paper mache, and also later I started working with Wonder Flags and also with Warbler, a German product nobody actually saw before. And as I said, I really tried to help people, and also just kept on making my YouTube tutorials or tried to answer messages as good as I could, simply because I also wanted to give something back to the community and improve my English. During all that time, Benny was actually super supportive and helped me always to finish my costume. In fact, I met him in the very same year I visited my very first convention, which was 2003. So Benny saw my very first costume and, well, didn't left me and just helped me with painting my stuff, or yeah, he also joined me to conventions and helped me wearing my crap or brush my hair and whatever, and I was really thankful for his support. So I I finished my study finally and I had no idea what to do. And I basically searched for the closest thing, which was to cosplay. And this was being a social media agent for a company. It felt more that I had to go there to get some money instead of I really wanted to do it. You know what I mean? So during the first days at my new job, I actually also got my very first international or more overseas convention invite, which was Montreal Comic Con. And I totally wasn't able to take off because of my work. In addition, I also got a pretty big commission request for 2 commissions, but I basically had to decide if I want to do this convention thing and like accept the commissions, or if I want to keep on doing my job. So at this point, I had to decide what I wanted to do. I could surely accept the convention invitation and accept the commission request, but I basically had to cancel my job. And if I would do this, I would be unemployed after I finished the commissions. Okay, now it's time for Benny, because I'm talking about him. So, hello Benny!
Hello! At that time, where she had to decide if she wants to leave the job or stay in the job, I actually worked still full-time at an advertising agency. So the good thing for us was that no matter how you would decide, we would still be able to like make ends meet.
So basically, I still had some safety, and yeah, I called Benny at the stay and asked him what he thinks about, and he totally said he would keep on supporting me.
Well, you called me crying from
crying.
the bathroom.
Because I was completely desperate. Half an hour later, I went to my boss and said, I have to go. Bye. Yeah. Bye, Benny. So I went home, started making my commission costumes and finished them pretty quickly. I also went to Montreal Comic Con and I was unemployed, and this was a problem. When we dropped off the commissions at BlizzCon, we also met with a few friends in Los Angeles, and one of them was actually Bill Duran from Punished Props. At this point, I had nothing to do, and Bill actually mentioned that I could write some books. So Bill already published a few crafting books about how to work with EVA foam and how to make cool props and stuff. And he wasn't actually the first one with this idea. In the past, plenty of people actually asked me if I could make a collection about all the tutorials I published in the past. Additionally, people still kept on asking the same questions like, what glue are you using? What is paper mache? And
what's the brown stuff?
And I tried to answer all of them, but basically it was really frustrating because I wasn't able to help everybody. And I thought actually having a collection of all of these tutorials might be quite handy. But the reason why I finally started writing my very first book was just to shut down all the people who asked me for a collection of my tutorials. So I went home and started writing my very first book, and actually totally didn't expect it that anybody would actually buy it. I basically just made it because so many people asked for it, and I just wanted to give it to them, and so they left me finally alone, and I can keep on crafting without having all these questions all around anymore. And with proofreading, we published our very first book after 7 days. We put it online for $5 because we thought it would be a nice and fair price. And apparently people like cosplay crafting books and want to read cosplay tutorials, I guess. Which is good for me and Benny, I guess. So I actually noticed I can make my income from that and don't need to search for another job. And this was pretty cool. Basically, I found a solution to keep on crafting and keep on having fun, but also provide something useful to people and help them and actually make a living from that. And this was quite exciting. We actually made more money with his books than Benny made at his office job. So it was just logical that Benny would cancel it so we could do it together. And especially like stay together and travel together and do like something we really love together. So if Benny was with me, we would be able to create even more content, create even more books, and also make a better income this way. We published now 11 books, and I keep on writing, and we keep on crafting. We're doing costumes, we're doing also commissions from time to time, and just have a good time. At the end, I wouldn't really call myself a professional cosplayer because I don't really like this term. Yes, conventions are inviting me, but I'm providing a service by judging costume competitions, running several panels, promoting the event, and just being there for my fans and followers. My main income is coming from the books which Benny and I are doing together. I'm basically an author, and here's the layouter and editor and also the photographer, and I would say we are a pretty effective team. What I really want to say is that from the very beginning, we never planned becoming like full-time cosplayers or doing like this whole thing professionally. It was all just a lucky, very lucky coincidence. I think we are in a very special position, and I know it's something I need to be very thankful for. Today we are quite busy with experimenting with new materials and techniques. Benny and I, we are creating costumes together. We're surely also always working on new books, and we are working very hard to give you new tutorials and new books and just stuff you enjoy to follow us for. So we are very thankful for your support. If you bought our books or prints, if you want to see us at a convention, if you just like, share and comment our stuff and just like to follow our work. Last but not least, what I want to say is I think it's okay to keep on dreaming and to fight for something you really want to accomplish, but it's also very important to have a plan B. If you continue to do what you love, I think success will come over time. It could be just later or earlier. So just don't give up and believe in yourself. So this video was quite different from my other ones, and I just wanted to try something out and tell you a little bit more about Benny and me and what we're doing, and want to see if you actually like it. So if you still have any comments, any questions or anything, give me some feedback in the comments. We would both really appreciate it. So see you next time. Bye bye!